Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen. Today is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024, and we're glad you're joining us this evening. I'll begin by calling the meeting to order. I'd like to recognize Pastor Eric Tang of Shiloh United Methodist Church for our invocation.
Let us pray. Jesus, you were born in a little town called Bethlehem. That town was under the authority of local leaders and officials who effectively managed a majority of people's daily life. We lift up our local leaders today. We pray for our mayor, the board of aldermen, the town manager, and all who serve the town of Kernersville. Strengthen them with wisdom and grace for the heavy burdens they carry. May they manage their responsibilities and projects with love. Keep their hearts pure and their eyes turned toward your face as they work in the best interests of the people they are called to serve. We pray all this in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. So it's my honor and privilege as mayor to present proclamations relating to significant occasions, significant causes, and significant individuals. And one of the people who works for our town government, sort of behind the scenes to the general public, is our municipal clerk, Keith Hooker, who's here tonight, and our deputy clerk, Beth Price, who is not here this evening, but we'll also recognize her later. So this is a presentation of proclamation for Municipal Clerks Week. The Office of the Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. The Office of the Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all other levels. The Municipal Clerk has pledged to be ever mindful of neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. The Municipal Clerk serves as the information center of functions of local government and the community. And this, to detail that, they keep the minutes, they keep the records of the town, they keep a lot of the kind of paperwork and documents straight and orderly, and help respond to public information requests and all kinds of other duties that are not seen but are vitally important. The municipal clerk continually strives to improve the administration of the affairs of the office through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate, we recognize the accomplishments of Keith Hooker, town clerk of the town of Kernersville. This celebrated the week of May 5th through 11th as Municipal Clerks Week, and we would like to express our appreciation as Mayor and Board of Aldermen to our town clerk, Keith Hooker, for the services he provides and his exemplary dedication to our community. So I'd like to recognize at this time Keith Hooker.
It's an honor and a privilege to be able to serve you and the board and the town manager. The opportunity to provide assistance and service to the citizens of the town is greatly appreciated by me, as I know it is also by Deputy Clerk Beth Price and obviously by municipal clerks across the state and across the country. It's a wonderful opportunity, and I thank you for it.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think the board wants to shake your hand too. Next, we'd like to do a presentation relating to Arbor Day. Arbor Day, the first Arbor Day was celebrated in 1872 when J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. He had noticed the erosion due to crops and the settlement of the West, and was involved. He was a newspaper publisher and was very concerned about the environmental impacts of the wholesale cutting of trees. And, I rode out with my son cross country he was going to Idaho, and so we went through Nebraska. And, the impact of having an area like that compared to being on the East Coast, and then thinking about wholesale cutting down of trees was just kind of startling to me to actually see it. Had the wide open landscapes there. So I think in the South and here in North Carolina, we're very fortunate to have a healthy tree canopy, and we try to enhance that in the town of Kernersville as development occurs, to have regulations about planting trees. We try and be responsible stewards of the trees on public property, removing diseased trees and planting new ones for the future. And I think that we've all benefited from that effort. So many years ago, Kernersville was recognized as participating actively in the Tree City USA program, and that's a recognition of this commitment to protecting and enhancing our urban canopy. So as a tree comes down for development, we try to plant some new ones and have trees for longevity for our community, for the future, for environmental reasons, for aesthetic reasons, and for the enjoyment of the people of Kernersville. So in connection with this, Parks and Recreation is responsible for a lot of the trees in our community, in our park system, and some of the town properties. So I'd like to present a proclamation to Ernie in recognition of Arbor Day and our longstanding participation in the national effort of being a Tree City, USA. Ernie?
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. This is, again, like as the mayor pointed out, is an ongoing commitment to preserving trees in our tree canopy. We don't officially have an Arbor Day celebration yet, but we have been focused on doing exactly what you pointed out. We do have the recreation building coming in, so in the next coming weeks, we'll be planting hundreds of trees out there at the rec building, within the parking lot, around the building, along the roadside landscaping. So in the next coming probably 2 weeks, we'll have quite a few new trees at the park. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ernie.
Right.
Well, all right, we'll move on to the regular business of the board this evening. Our first item on the agenda is speakers from the floor. Is there anyone who'd like to address the Board of Aldermen as to a matter that is not otherwise included on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll move on to item B, the 2023 annual reports and 2024 budget requests, Kernersville Little League.
Evening, Madam Mayor and Aldermen and Curtis, Town Manager. I'm Rusty Niles, the President of Kernersville Little League, and once again, I've come to ask y'all for your support to help us with our Southeast Regional Tournament. The Southeast Regional Tournament we host is awarded to us by Little League each year. Well, we've been fortunate enough to keep getting awarded this honor. Last year, when we hosted the tournament, we had roughly 380 some participants, parents, umpires, coaches to arrive in Kernersville and spend their time for the week in Kernersville, and so they can have the opportunity to move on to the Intermediate World Series. We were fortunate enough again this year last year to have the United States winner, Keystone Little League out of Keystone, Florida, to not only play at Kernersville Little League, but to go on and win in the United States bracket, to have the opportunity to play for the World Series championship, which ultimately they didn't do so good against Seoul, Korea. All the parents really raved from the, I always only hear from the winning team, obviously, but all the parents and the coaches and everything were really highly praised how Kernersville and the Little League itself, welcomed them into town, and they enjoyed their time here. So, like I said, we use this money to help offset the cost because we have to provide housing for umpires and players, meals for all of them during the week. So we use this money to help us offset the cost of that, along with other sponsors and whatnot. As y'all know, we are a nonprofit organization, and what money we make out of the Little League is, what we use to survive with. And I just really hope y'all consider to donate this money to us again this year.
Are there any questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank y'all.
And thank you for your involvement, enthusiasm for the sport. It touches the lives of so many young people and creates good memories for families. So thank you for that. All right, the next item on our agenda is item C, consideration of a resolution declaring May as Historic Preservation Month. This is something that the town of Kernersville has participated in, along with many of the other municipalities in our county. And it's just really a formal support by the entire board for that effort. So if I could have a motion.
Move we approve the resolution, Madam Mayor.
Motion for approval,
Second.
second by Alderman Gorham. All in favor? It's unanimous. And Bill made the motion, Keith. Okay. Item D is parking ordinance. Mr. Swisher, if you could present that.
Yes, you have the ordinance in your packet. It is for to designate a certain portion of Solomon Drive. Solomon Drive, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, is as you go out Union Cross Road toward Glenn High School. It's in Smith Crossing, and the portion we're designating or asking to be designated as no parking is as you go through the roundabout there, right off of Union Cross. You take a left on the Solomon. There's a traffic circle. From that traffic circle over to Kenosha Drive, and then also asking for the same prohibition of parking on Haynes Street. That's a street off of 66 right before you get to the Dario. It's on the same side of the street as the Dario. It goes down to the new, it'll go down to the new hotel. The main hotel entrance is off of, it's not Haynes Street, it's one right after it. Not prohibiting all parking, just certain vehicles. It's mainly tractor trailers, 22 feet in length and 80 inches in width. So what we have is those roads are so narrow that once the tractor trailer parks on them, it makes it difficult for us to get by with any fire apparatus or any of our garbage trucks or anything like that. So just in that section of those two roads.
Okay, any questions, or do I have a motion?
I got a question. Why don't we enact this all over town?
Well, all over town, it's not some of the roads are wider, so it's not an issue all over town. And so we don't have that problem. And we do come in when it comes up and we enact it on the road. You have to do it for each individual road. And so when we see it as a problem, we did it a couple months ago on Bluff School Road. We'll bring it in. These two roads, the particular section of Haynes Street now with the hotel on it is becoming a problem because folks will park there, some of them going to the hotel. And the one on Solomon Drive, that's a fairly new road. It just came in probably 2 years ago. So we bring it in individually one at a time when we see it as being a problem. But some of your wider roads, it's not an issue. The one Solomon Drive, you've got the roundabout there, so as cars go out of the roundabout, if there's a tractor trailer parked on the side of it and then we try to go through it, it makes it a little difficult. So
You know, Hopkins Road, doesn't a week go by that you don't go down Hopkins Road and somebody's got a truck parked in the middle of the road. Got out to deliver something.
Yeah.
You're looking around for the driver, you know. He's running up to somebody's house or something.
And that's a different problem in its own. These are folks parking and leaving it there for a long period of time. Those folks are just basically violating the law by stopping in the middle of the road.
I know, the effect's the same. If you try to go around one and you have an accident, it's your fault.
Nah,
Because you're left to center.
yeah.
And, that's a horrible problem. It only gets worse.
It does. And we have started enforcing it since it, came up, some time ago about them stopping basically in the middle of Main Street or the middle of Hopkins Road. If we're there and one of our officers is there and sees it, we will stop them, make them move it. The problem is just being there in that length of time because they're usually in and out and gone pretty quickly.
Right.
So unfortunately, in that situation on Hopkins Road, even if we had the ordinance, common sense tell you not to park in the middle of the road, but they don't use a lot of that sometimes. But even if we had the ordinance, being able to get out there before they get gone and enforce it would be the hard part. These usually, this particular situation, they're parking there overnight or whatever.
Right.
A lot of them on Solomon Drive may be parking to go eat at one of the local restaurants. There's still some other roads on there they can park on that don't present as big a problem. So we're not prohibiting on all of them, just the ones, just that Solomon Drive where it's a problem and Haynes Street. Down at Haynes Street, we didn't prohibit it. I think we did actually prohibit tractor trailers on the two streets that runs behind Dario and the street further down from that. I don't know that we prohibited it. We actually marked some spots. We prohibited it as you get closer to the intersection.
Right.
And it's worked out fine. Now, we did prohibit it on the street that you turn to go into Dario. As you go to the end of that, we were having tractor trailers park on it. And that was becoming a problem with folks coming out in the morning in big trucks, and you got a big truck parked on the road.
Right.
So that's where it's a problem.
You know, I think we need to maybe see what some of these other municipalities are doing about the whole thing of the FedEx and the Amazon, all of them people just stopping in the middle of the road.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
And there's certain roads they shouldn't do it. There's certain roads in neighborhoods that don't matter.
Yeah.
But a two-lane road that's marked and everything, and they just stop right in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
Hunting in the back for a box, and they'll come out, and
And a road like Main Street,
Yeah.
Hopkins Road, Old Winston Road, any of those that are pretty busy.
Right.
As you say, in a neighborhood, it's not as bad because usually during the day, it's a lot less traffic. But if you're out on a main road, Bodenhammer, Main Street, Hopkins Road, I mean, that's a problem. And like you, I've seen it. We can look into it and see what they're doing. The enforcement of it's the hard part, but if we've got an ordinance, then we can go out and enforce it. You've got something.
right. I think if we put all them people on notice and write a few tickets,
Yeah.
we'll find out that they don't like that.
So we can look and see what other ordinances are in place.
Right.
So that if we do come up on one of them, I really don't know exactly what we'd write them for right now. We've got something in our ordinances, our code of ordinances against stopping in the middle of the street, basically. But we probably need to make it more specific toward that. So we'll look. I'll have Keith and the police department look, see what there is, and we can bring something back to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Curtis, one comment and one question. People who have CDLs, commercial licenses, tickets aren't their favorite thing. So I agree with Alderman Barrow that would get the attention. My question is, out on Haynes Road, the one that leads up to the newer hotel out there, if we're not going to allow tractor trailers to park there, do our ordinances require that the hotel, for example, provide for truck parking on their property when their permits are being approved? And if not, can they be? In other words, I feel the need to accommodate them. I agree with the safety concerns, but do we do anything to accommodate them?
I don't know in that site plan, we probably didn't address truck parking specifically. There is, as I was telling Alderman Barrow, there are two roads out there where they can park. And one right there behind the Dario and the other one further down from it. I know the one behind Dario is sometimes pretty crowded, and that's the one closest to the new hotel. The one right down past that, and I just can't remember the name of it, very rarely has anyone parked on it. So if they can't park on Haynes Street, they could, push them down to that road. It's not that far. Of course, if it's raining, it's a good ways, but most of them, we don't require it, but most of them have, one area designated, usually in their parking area for a truck. But a lot of them don't, but we don't require it. But there is one road down out there where they can go.
Has there been any accidents reported as a result of these folks parking their vehicle for a short period of time to go to deliver a package to somebody's house?
You talking about the FedEx folks delivering packages? I think we've had a couple of accidents, haven't we? The FedEx drivers and Amazon, we've had a couple of accidents. Yeah, it's been minimal. The one I remember, and I think it may have been in Alderman Barrow's neighborhood, a FedEx truck, somebody pulled out to go around it, and I think they clipped the side of another car. And that's usually the couple I remember seeing in the daily reports. That's kind of what it is. There's been no major accidents, but it's been mainly a pull out and kind of clip somebody type thing.
Now, the reason why I asked that question is because of people who out there doing all the delivering like that, all they're doing is just trying to make a living.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to do anything to impede people out there trying to make a living for themselves just because some of us might be inconvenienced for a short period of time. But these folks out here trying to make a living doing this stuff. And we need to take that in consideration too when we go forward thinking about making some rules pertaining to those people.
Yeah, and I think you can craft it in a way that, phrase it that if there's available easy access off the main road, because the big concern is really like Bodenhammer and Main Street, they stop right in the middle of it and kind of block up traffic. You can have it worded that if there's easy enough access, you pull in there and not stop in the middle of the road. I don't recall, and you might, has there been any accidents on the main roads? No. Most of them's just been in the neighborhoods. So, and it's kind of like everything else. I mean, it all depends on the driver, and if you get a new driver, once they get used to it, they kind of know where to go, where to pull in, where not to. But you get a new driver that's in a hurry, they may just stop anywhere. So, and we don't ticket them the first time. We give them a warning and say, hey, at least kind of get over to the side out of the middle of the road. The ones I've noticed recently, they'll pull in the turn lane instead of just right in the middle, which is better than obviously stopping in the lane of traffic. But yeah, we would look into it and agree. You wouldn't want to ding them right off the bat, and we wouldn't. We would give them a warning and say, hey, don't stop right in the lane of traffic. And if you're in a neighborhood, I noticed the other day in my neighborhood, they'll pull over far enough that they don't impede traffic. Now, I've had one that just stopped right in the middle of the road. And it does. It depends a lot on the driver. And that's why you would want to warn them the first time, because if it's the same driver, they'll do better next time. So, yep. See a lot from the mail carriers as well. I mean, it's kind of all the delivery folks.
Hey, any further discussion about parking and traffic regulations? All right, we are on item D, consideration of the ordinance to,
Oh, okay, you're getting ready to vote on it?
we haven't voted on it.
Okay.
We're back on item D, consideration of the ordinance amending traffic schedule 4 to add portions of Solomon Drive and Haynes Street to the list of streets titled no parking for certain vehicles. Do I have a motion? Motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Thompson. Second by Alderman Barrow. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, now we're moving on to item E, which is a resolution authorizing a public notice for the sale of real property. But it's actually a stormwater issue, Mr. Swisher.
It is, and I've spoken to each of you on this, and just to kind of refresh your memory on it, this is the Woodbine Townhomes. It's the townhomes that you all approved sometime last year probably, or maybe early this year, I can't remember exactly. The vacant parcel on Woodbine Street there at the intersection of Woodbine and Salisbury Street, it's the lot right beside the Kernersville Community House. The developer came in to give it a better plan and to be a better plan than what was presented to you all. They need a little bit of land from the town to do their turnaround and their stormwater device. They'll do a biocell device. So they need about 10,000, 11,000 square feet from the town. Our engineer, Chris Jensen, has worked with them. Works out good for the town because, as you all know, we own the community house, the town does. If we ever wanted to expand the actual community house or expand the parking, we would most likely have to do some type of stormwater retention device. So the developer has agreed basically to make their device large enough to carry our water at some point in the future. So we will sell them what's necessary to do that, and then we will turn around and pay them that portion of the pond. So it will save us the cost of having to construct the pond on our own, which would be more than the $35,000. And it will also save having two devices in the same place. So if you all, this is a resolution to sell that area that's needed. You have a map in the packet as well that shows that, have their site plan. They will actually come back through rezoning to do that because the portion of the town's lot is not zoned the way they need it to be zoned. So you all will see that, I think, is it next month or the month after? June. So this is the initial approve the resolution to sell. We'll go through the process, offer it up for 10 days, I think, for upset bid. Then if it's, nobody upsets the offer, or we bring another offer back to you, you all can finalize the sale at your May meeting, May the 7th. And then the sale won't be finalized until it's contingent, obviously, on being rezoned, because if it doesn't get rezoned, they don't need the pond. So it's a parcel, you have the map, be glad to answer any questions, unless you're real technical about the engineering part, and then I'll have to get some help, so. And the offer to purchase is for $35,000, and that's what we would then turn around and pay for the pond.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion?
I'd make a motion, Madam Mayor. I'd move that we move to authorize R2024 as stated by the town manager to purchase the real property for the stormwater device site plan.
Okay, I've got a motion for approval by Alderman John Barrow, second. Second by Alderman Apple. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, item F is a lease agreement for property located at 125 East Bodenhammer.
This is for the building that Parks and Recreation currently occupies. Our lease expired at the end of March. We figured if we want to continue to offer Parks and Recreation services for the next few months, we probably need to renew that lease. The owner has been gracious in allowing us to just do it from April to December at the same rate that we're currently paying, which is very kind of them. And so we're recommending that the board approve the renewal of the lease, and we will stay in there. We may be out before December 31st. As you all know, the building's scheduled to be open before that, but we want to keep it through December 31st in case something goes wrong with the new building, and also to give us some time to get everything in and out, because obviously once that building gets open, we'll have Ernie, not we, but Ernie, have a lot going on to get in it, and his priority will probably not be getting everything out of the current building. So we will be appreciative if the board will renew that lease till the end of this year.
All right, are there any questions? Do I
I
have a
got
motion?
one. Is that,
Go ahead.
is that the amount of the rent per month, $6,400 a month
Yes, sir.
that we're paying for that building?
Yes, sir.
Wasn't it $750 when they first leased it?
No, it started out at,
It was very low. I remember reading
no,
in
it
the
was
paper.
4,800, I believe, wasn't it,
It
Ernie?
wasn't that much.
Yeah, it started out around 4,000 to 4,800. It's only went up 2.5% every, is it every year or every 3 years, Ernie? Every year it escalates 2.5. Yeah, and we've been in it for 10 years? 14. Has it been 14?
Seemed like I read in the paper it was like $750 a month.
No, it was never 750. It started out, I can
Less than
find out.
48.
Huh?
I'm sure it was less than $4,800 a month.
I'd have to look and see, but I think it was around 4 to 48, but I do not remember exactly. I can find out.
Oh, that's.
But it was
neither
not
here nor there.
750, I
I'm
remember that.
glad we're out of there. Okay.
Well, we are too, because the lease has us, it's a triple net lease, so we get to do everything that goes on.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to renew the list on the Recreation Center building for the year of 2024 on Bodenheimer Street.
Got a motion by Alderman Gorham, second by Alderman Penix. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, item G, consideration of an application for an accessibility for parks grant.
You have in your packet a memo from Ernie to myself about the grant. It's an accessibility for parks grant, and it's focused on increasing the accessibility of parks and open spaces. Ernie and I have talked. We're asking for permission to apply for a $500,000 grant to be used, designated solely for the skate park over at 4th of July Park to make that space more accessible. Ernie's got some things that he would like to do to that park to make it more accessible for those with different types of disabilities. I think, is it a 10% match, Ernie?
It's a 50%,
50%.
dollar for dollar.
Okay. So Ernie can explain more of the grant to you than I can, so.
So this is same vein as the part of grant, an LWCF grant issued through the state. It's intended to, as is mentioned, to improve inclusion and accessibility, and to create facilities that can be renovated or brand new for that purpose. So the skate park itself at 4th, over the years, things change, wants change, uses change. So the skate park itself at 4th, for many of you that have been around for a while, when we put that in, the want at the time was flat concrete pad modular ramps. Now it's more like streetscapes and gentle ramps and rails and those type of things. So if we're successful with the grant, we can come in and renovate that and make it an all wheels facility. Basically what it means is any types of wheels, inline skates, roller skates, scooters, wheelchairs, electric bikes, electric scooters, those type of things can all access it because the ramps won't be as great a grade of decline, so more people can use it. So that's kind of what we're aiming towards. Besides accessibility and inclusion, the skate park, when we finish the repairs now, we're pretty much at the end of the lifespan of the facilities that we've got, unless we want to spend more money to kind of re-weld and rework the frame themselves and then redo the whole thing again. So it's kind of a dual purpose is what we're trying to achieve here. Kind of bring the facility up to date, increases inclusion, at the same time bring it, kind of get us away to where we need to be with that facility. So with that, any questions, I'm here.
Ernie, are there any liability issues by doing that?
With skate park?
Yeah.
Skate park under the state statutes, an at-risk facility. So all we need to do to avoid that liabilities is to post a sign saying we recommend to wear helmets, elbow pads, and protective equipment. And it's up to the user at that point. It's at their own risk.
Do I have a motion? Motion for approval from Mayor Pro Tem Thompson. Second by Alderman Penix. All in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work. Tell your team, thank you for the work that went into finding that grant and working it up. Appreciate it. All right, item H, consideration of an ordinance for budget amendment 8.
Madam Mayor and Board, you have in your packet the budget amendment. There are 5 items in the expenditures. All of those, but a couple have offsetting revenues. The biggest expenditures do have offsetting revenues. You see in there that we have a $250,000 subrecipient pass-through grant from the state of North Carolina to Kernersville. It's also increased Parks and Rec budget $1.8 million to reflect grant funding received from North Carolina State Budget Office for land acquisition, and then to increase the Botanical Garden Department $400,000 for the nursery, or for the greenhouse. All of that money was awarded to the town, and their budget for this year is grant money. So it's $2.25 million, I think, and no, it's actually $2.45 million. So you see that offsetting revenue there in line 1 of the revenues. The ones that do not have offsetting revenues is the first one with governing body. That covers outside legal fees. Not all of that 367,000 legal fees, but probably 75 of it's outside legal fees for the lawsuit involving BOMA, and then $150,000 in the fire department to cover the increasing costs for the new squad truck that was ordered. That will be here in 3 years. And hopefully it won't go up another $150,000 before it gets here, but I guess we'll see. Good time to be in the truck business. I will be glad to answer any questions.
Is there a motion for approval? Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Thompson,
Second.
second by Alderman Gorham. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, item I, consideration of the contract for financial auditing services for fiscal year 23-24.
Madam Mayor and Board, this is our contract with Forvis, who is our auditors. They've been our auditors for several years. This is to engage in them with new contract for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2024. That is the year coming up. It's not to exceed $95,000. As you all remember, not long ago, they finished up the 2023 audit. It was about $91,000 for those services. We had 3 new GASB rules that applied to the town that we had to have audited, which increased the cost of our audit. We anticipate those 3 this year. We hope we don't have any more than those 3, but that is beyond our control. That's generally accepted accounting, and we have to have audited. We have to have those audited. So it's for $95,000, a little bit more than what it was for fiscal year end 2023, but we don't anticipate it going up. Now, we'll tell you that we went out and looked several different auditing firms, put it out for proposals. We received very few, if any, back that would do it. The number of auditing firms across the state that are willing to take on new clients, new municipal clients, is few and far between. And, unfortunately, we have to have a firm that's capable of doing that. We can't use the 1 or 2 person firm. I was in a meeting the other day, and it's not just a problem for Kernersville, it is a problem across the state. And the meeting I was in, it was a individual from the state treasurer's department there. There are probably, I think they said almost 100 between municipalities and counties in the state. There are about 100 that have, at that time, had yet to submit their audit for 2023. Reason being is, number one, they can't find an audit company. And when they find one that is so backed up that they get to it when they get to it. So we're fortunate that Forvis has offered to do ours again, and we'll do it. Hopefully they'll do it on time this year. Not gonna hold my breath to that, but they will do it, and we'll get it, by the end of the year anyway. So it's, right now it's a difficult situation. If you were an auditing firm, it'd be a good time to be one in North Carolina if you did government work. But again, there are fewer and fewer of those that are doing that. So it's becoming a real problem, and unfortunately, like a lot of things, the government still will not change their regulations and guidelines, even though they know it's a problem. It's kind of, oh well, tough, you got to figure it out. So we are strongly recommending that we go with Forvis again this year, even with the $4,000 price increase over what it was.
Okay, any questions, or do I have a motion to approve?
I have a question,
Go ahead.
Madam Mayor. Curtis, there are a lot of things in this world that I don't understand, and please help me understand this one. Do I understand correctly that it is the auditing firm that is the auditing firms that are backlogged and can't get audits completed on time? Are those the same firms that in the audit write us up for the audits being late? Am I understanding that correctly?
You are. And we have told Forvis that, you know when it's got to be done. Of course, they have a good way of blaming it on us, though we have everything to them. They know it has to be done, and, they tell you, oh, we'll get it done, and then they don't get it done, and then thus the letter that you all have to sign as a performance indicator of concern. And that's why I told you that, we're totally at their mercy, so to speak, with that timeline on it. And the good thing is that indicator of concern is really not, at this point, even at the state level, it's not a real indicator of concern, because when you have almost 100 of them that, as of March, didn't have it in, it's kind of expected. And even at the meeting I was at, there were several questions to the individual of, hey, are you going to extend the deadline for this, for us to have these audits done? The answer was no, but they are thinking about it, especially if you can't find an auditing firm to do it. But they also know that if they extend the deadline, then there will still be those folks that are just going to be late just because they're late. And if you extend the deadline, they're like, oh, well, we can start a little bit later. Well, no, you need to start on time, at least to get it done on time, and then you're just a little bit late. So, but yes, it's the same ones. It's kind of a circle, you can't find one, you find one, then they're late, and it's like, oh, well, we're sorry.
Then they just write you up for being late.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
It's a little bit, some of the other things we got written up for are usually also their fault, and it's like, you did our audit last year, and you're writing us up for something that we did last year, but yet you did the audit. That's the one that kind of really grates on your nerves a little bit, but the problem is it's a very limited selection pool of folks to do it. And ours is they're a good company. We worked with them for years, and so, it's just a few little oddities here and there that you have to get around. But we've had some others in the past that were an issue, at least with this company. They're a good company to work for. We just have to push them a little bit.
All right. Is there any more questions or discussions, or do I have a motion for approval? Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Thompson,
Second.
second by Alderman Gorham. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, we are to the briefing on the May 7 meeting agenda. We'll have some proclamations for Public Services Week, Law Enforcement Officers Week, and then Historic Resources Commission will likely be here for the presentation of the resolution you adopted this evening declaring May as Historic Preservation Month and often they'll give an update about various events and activities marking that month. We'll have then, in our public session, consideration of a resolution authorizing the sale of real property. Mr. Swisher? I'm imagining that's the Woodbine.
That is correct.
So the property that the stormwater pond or stormwater structure would be located on that we talked about earlier tonight will be that public session. Then a consent agenda, and then our usual updates. So do you anticipate anything coming on that didn't get printed on the agenda?
Not right now, no ma'am.
Okay. And to take note that the next regular meeting is Tuesday, May 7th. Okay, that brings us back to this agenda with the town manager's report. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor, I do not think I have anything tonight.
Okay.
If I do, I've forgotten it.
Well, you can think for a minute. If you come up with something, let us know. Mr. Powell?
I do not have a report, however, we do have need for a closed session tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, matters to be presented by the mayor and board of aldermen. Mr. Penix, have you got anything for us tonight? No, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Gorham? Negative. Mr. Apple? I do not. Mr. Barrow?
A couple of things. I've been contacted by the people that live down there at Weldon, and they've been moaning and groaning a whole lot like the people at Caleb's Creek. Problems with the roads. They're supposed to build another pool. They hadn't done that. They got problems with the Weldon people and the builders honoring their HVAC warranties. That's basically it. I know they were wanting to come in front of us for some concessions on some road building and all this stuff. And I think we need to hear from the people that live down there before we make any decision on that, just to inform the board. Because prior to that, I was of the opinion they were doing a great job, but if you go down there, that's not what they're going to tell you. So anyhow, I got that. I got a couple other things here too.
And which development's that in, John?
Do what?
Which development is that in?
Weldon.
Weldon.
Weldon building, one off of 66. Let's see. Only to remind everybody about the pool. Ernie, where's Ernie? Working on the pool, right? Yes, sir. Thank you. Let's see. Who did I meet with? I believe it was the rec board we met the other day, and they were talking about doing something, and y'all were talking about they thought maybe they could get a spot at the at the Folly, and they said, well, that costs too much. And I said, what do you mean it costs too much? And they said, well, you know, the Chamber of Commerce charges a town department for a spot in the Folly. I don't think that's right. And I think before we give the Chamber of Commerce money next year, part of the agreement needs to be that any department in the town of Kernersville wants to set up a little tent out there to make people aware of what we do for them during the year, or just for whatever purpose that they should do that and not charge us for it. It's our streets, we give it to them to sell, and then they want to turn around and rent it to us. But anyway, I got a problem with that, and I think we should have a problem with that.
I agree with you, 100%. I don't know, I can't answer if they've charged us in the past. I don't know which department. Ernie, have you set up in the past and they
Ernie, if
wanted
you
to
come
charge us?
forward so we can hear you for the
But-
stream.
I agree with you with all that we provide in manpower and so forth for the Folly. And again, we do fund them probably $30,000 or so. I would think they might consider giving us a free spot, but I do not know in the past what we've done.
Yeah, the first time we were out there as a Parks and Rec department, there was a booth rental fee. I don't know if it was discounted or not. The most recent is the Garden. Garden had a booth space in there. And now we have had a reduction in staff, so we've pulled out, but it was a fee as well for booth space. I don't know if it's a discounted rate or what the full rate is, but there is a fee. Yeah.
I have a suggestion, and that would be that next year when we fund, that we get a report of the charges that we've been assessed for that kind of thing, and we deduct it from their grant request from the town, budget request for the town. That might make a difference.
We can certainly pull that information together. I don't know that, other than the Spring Folly and the fireworks, which they hung us with the full amount last year, I believe, wasn't it, Ernie?
Yes, we pay the full amount.
That we've been assessed with anything else, but we will find out, and we can certainly put that in their contract for funding in 24, 25, if you all approve any funding that, and events they have, such as a Spring Folly, that the town gets a free booth at that folly. I mean, I don't know that, well, if every department wanted to set up a booth, it would, I think, be fair to have a free booth if every department wanted to set up, because we only have 9. So I can assure you that we put much more than that in manpower out on the street that we don't charge them for. And as you mentioned, we do on the street, and you all allow them to close the street to have a folly. So kind of, I agree with you 100%. We'll pull that information together.
Good deal. Thank you. Thank you, Ernie.
As you know, the Chamber of Commerce typically has a representative at almost every single meeting of the Board of Aldermen. There's been a death in the family, and so the representative is out of town at the moment. So I think it would be fair to bring these concerns to talk with the Chamber about before making any decisions, and see. We carefully investigate things before we decide on, make a final decision, especially since the other party's not here tonight. It's a very good thing to have a good working relationship with a Chamber of Commerce that we have in our community. So I would think we ought to work on this a little bit in a cooperative fashion before making any final decisions. All right. Is there anything we've missed voting on with all our discussions? You good? Okay. Is there any, let's see, is there anything else you have, Mr. Barrow?
No.
Mr. Apple? All right, so I have a challenge for all of the aldermen. If you have not done your Parks and Rec survey, please do your Parks and Rec survey before it closes. Ernie did his, what, a couple days ago?
I did mine the other day and checked the pool 6 times just to help Alderman Barrow out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Ernie showed me that you can successfully do that Parks and Rec survey on your cell phone. So the link, you can get to it from the front page of the Kernersville website. So encourage the people you know, and also make sure you take the survey yourself. All of y'all live in town limits, so the time is now before it closes. I want to thank Ernie for being out on a very hot, very bright, sunny day for the Kernersville Kiwanis Touch-a-Truck event, which was a huge success and very widely attended, and had a Parks and Rec booth out there with some of the Parks and Rec staff raising awareness of the survey, and a lot of children and possibly adults having a lot of fun on the big wheels. So thank you for participating in that event that the Kiwanis hosted with the significant help from a lot of local businesses and John Deere Kernersville. And the town was well represented with a variety of public services vehicles and police and fire. So we appreciate everyone's effort to work a full week and then also be out there for the children in the community. It was a great event. All right, so we do have a closed session. Do I have a motion that we go into closed session?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I hereby make a motion pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 to enter into closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged, and 143-318.11A5 to establish or to instruct the public body staff or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase.
Thank you, Alderman Gorham. Do I have a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Thompson. All in favor? It's unanimous. This board is now in closed session. Welcome back to the regular meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen. There's 2 items we need to take care of in open session. First, I'd like to ask for a motion to amend the agenda for the upcoming May 7th meeting to remove item C from the consent agenda and place it as a regular agenda item. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Thompson, second by Alderman Apple. All in favor? It's unanimous. The second, we have a presentation, quick presentation by our town manager.
Madam Mayor and Board, as you all know, we received $1.8 million from the state to purchase property in the vicinity of Ivy Redmond Park. There's been a piece of property that just went into foreclosure last week. It's 673 Beeson Road. That property adjoins a piece that we just recently purchased. It's about a half acre to an acre lot. The foreclosure took place last Tuesday. It's a 10-day upset period, so we would need to upset that by this Friday. So the foreclosure price on it was around $246,000. That was bid in by the lender. There's a 5% upset fee on top of that, so it's right around $12,900 with fees included. So it put us right around $259,000. So it's a property that was sold in November of 2022. I called about the property at that time and never received a call back, and it actually closed in less than a week. So we didn't know we would be able to get the property as soon as we have been, but due to the foreclosure, if the board sees fit, we can go through and upset that bid and then see if we're able to obtain the property through that process.
You said it was about $259,000. Do you need the board to round up to $260,000 or the exact amount?
You can round up to $260,000, yes, because it's $259 and a couple $100 or something. But if the board so chooses, you can make a motion to go in, number one, and upset the bid at the 5%, and then purchase the property for the $250,000 or the $260,000. Because the way it works, if we upset the bid, then it's another 10 days. That period starts over, so it's another 10 days before the process ends. So.
Okay, so you need 2 separate motions.
Yes, ma'am. You can include it all in one motion.
Okay, and to authorize you to purchase the property for up to $260,000.
To upset the bid in the amount that Mr. Thompson has, and then to go through with the purchase of up to $260,000. And then if something happens and it gets upset again, we can bring that back to the board at that time.
And we will get our amount we post tomorrow back.
So I'd like to make a motion to upset the foreclosure bid at 673 Beeson Road by the amount of 5%, which would be $12,938.63, which would bring the total upset bid to $259,388.63, but to just go ahead and round it up to $260,000.
And to authorize the town manager to purchase the property?
To purchase the property, yes.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Curtis and Ed, for your diligence in keeping up with the real property transactions in the vicinity of the park and helping to expand this park for the future enjoyment of generations of people in Kernersville. I hope that this upset bid gets it. All right, is there any further business before the board this evening?
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn by Mayor Pro Tem Thompson, second by Alderman Gorham. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you for joining us. This meeting is now adjourned.